Thank you very much.
Well, Adi seems to have covered everything because he's an absolutely fantastic talker. But the thing about the Nakba, or the catastrophe as they call it, and understandably why, didn't just start in 1948. Something that you really do have to understand is that the British people, the British government are the ones who are completely and utterly, we are the ones that have caused the trouble in the first place, because in fact Palestine actually is a promised land. It was promised to two peoples by Britain. It was promised to the Palestinians by Britain if they helped the British to fight the Ottoman Empire. They were told by the British people that they would have their independence and they would be able to run themselves as a country. But on the other hand, the British played a very, very tricky and sly game, because they also told the Zionists that they would give them the land for the Jewish land of Israel. And before that, for centuries, for millennia, there had been Christians and Muslims.
Go home!
We are completely and utterly complicit in what we did as a country to the Palestinian people. It's continuing to this very day. The first time the Palestinians rose up was in 1936, because after the Balfour Treaty, which gave away their Palestinian land against what Britain had promised them in the first place, they rose up because they were fed up of Jewish people coming from around the world, Jewish Zionists coming from around the world in 1936 and taking their land already. So they rose up against the British and the British mandate. And that's what this scarf here means. I wear this scarf proudly as a Brit, because that's what it actually means. The Palestinian people stood up against the Jewish Zionists from around the world in 1936 coming and taking their land. In 1937, the Peel Commission did the first splitting of the land in Palestine, and they gave Israel one third of the land in 1937. But obviously Israel did then what they continue to do today, and that's take more and more and more of the land. And in fact in 1947 it was taken to the UN, and the people, the Israelis were given 51% of Palestinian land. So the illegal state of Israel had already taken far more than they should have done, than they were given in the first place, and then the United Nations gave away 51%. Now, can you imagine if the United Nations did that to you, in your town, in your city, and said, these people from over here, they deserve to live where you're living now, and we're going to destroy your homes and make you homeless? Well, in 1937, that's what happened. And in 1948, there was a man called from Sweden. He was a UN representative who was sent in to have a look at what's happening with the Palestinian people. And as a man who had helped to save many, many Jewish lives during the Holocaust, he was disgusted with what he found. He was disgusted to find that so many hundreds of thousands of Palestinian people were made homeless, so that Jewish Zionists from around the world can go and live where they lived for centuries. Now, if anybody has to be made homeless so you can live there, you clearly do not belong. And the other thing that really does point this out very, very much to me is that people are told that somehow Israel have always been there, when they haven't. Palestine has always been there. It's a historical and geographical fact on the ground. There never was an Israel. And the Israel that stands today is an illegal, vile occupation. And when you're told that it's a war against Jews and Muslims, no, it isn't. It is nothing to do with religion. Israel is a land grab Zionist policy. That's what it is. It's got nothing to do with religion. And in fact, today I am very privileged to class as my friends some people who are living around the world purely because of the 1948 Nakba catastrophe. 750,000 people being ethnically cleansed. That's ethnic cleansing. That is not just moving people out of the way and put them into a nice, lovely new home. That's people being made homeless, and it happens today. Still today, Israel are making Palestinians homeless so that Zionists from around the world can go and live there. But my friends from around the world who still now have no right of return to the land where their fathers and forefathers came from. My friend, my Christian friend Sarah, who lives in America. My Christian friend Joanne Zaylan, who lives in Australia. My friend Feda Palestine, who lives in America, and so many other ones that I can't possibly name them all. They are today's descendants of the Nakba catastrophe. They are having to live in a country where that country believes that it's all right for a Zionist Jew, who may even live next door to them, to return to a land that was never theirs in the first place, while my friends still have the keys of the homes that they were cleansed from and kicked out of, without any chance, without any right of return to the land that they belong to. So when you're thinking about the Nakba, it's not just a word, it's real lives that today are suffering because of that decision. And today, this very day, Israel will be demolishing yet more Palestinian homes for their illegal state. It's an illegal state and an occupation. It cannot be a two-way process where one side has no army and the other side has nuclear weapons. 76% of Israelis apparently do not class it as an occupation. Well, I don't know what else is the definition of an occupation if it isn't an army controlling another set of people by the barrel of the gun and tanks. So when you think of the Palestinian people, I want you to think of what it really means. It means people just like you, in your homes, with your families, and some other people that have decided that they deserve your land, your garden, your home, because somewhere somebody once said it should belong to them. If it's not good enough for you to have somebody come and take your land, why would it be all right for the Palestinians to sit back and let it happen? It's not as if it only happened in 1948. It has continued every single day still. That's why your job, your voice, is the most important voice that the Palestinian people have. If you ever stood out on the street, if you marched when Gaza was being bombed, Gaza's being bombed all the time. You're just not told about it. So question why? Why are you not told about it? Question why the BBC and the mainstream media only tell you from Israel's point of view. That's not news, that's propaganda. And it's up to the people like you and I who know the truth, and if you didn't know the truth before, you certainly bloody do now. So don't be silent. Do not be silent. Your silence condones what Israel is doing. You might as well be doing it yourself. It's all very well and good saying we can't do anything. Yes, you can. You can speak. You can shout. You can tell everybody that you come across what the truth is. What the truth is, and that is that Israel is an occupying, vile state. It is illegal, it is an occupation, and your silence condones it. So I hope that you go home today and you tell people what you've heard. Because if you don't, you might as well be fighting with Israel against the Palestinian people, and I'm sure you don't want to do that.
Just like to say, we are passing the leaflets around. The leaflets do educate about what happened to Palestinians in 1948, but we've got to remember, of course, that it's carrying on. It's getting worse. Right now, Palestinians are entering their 68th year under a military occupation. It's the longest running military occupation in modern history.